So for the saxophone, basically what I read in the packet is that every single saxophone, I think it was except for the soprano and the baritone, meaning like the alto, the tenor, no, the soprano and the bass. Yeah, soprano and the bass. Every single saxophone, the alto, tenor, baritone, they're going to have a theoretical written range, which is going to be in the treble clef. So clarinet, the range kind of went to the bass clef in the above, just because the notes can get really low. But the theoretical range for the saxophone is going to be a low B flat to a high F, and F sharp, and I think it's actually so basically what I read from the packet is that the theoretical range, written range for a saxophone is going to be a low A to a high F sharp. And I think those are in parentheses only because the soprano and the bass are the ones who can only go to a B flat up to an F, because they're parentheses written by the theoretical range. And that's what I'm assuming, because it says that the soprano and bass, which do not have the two lowest notes, all the instruments in the family have the same theoretical written range, which is a low B flat to a high F, or an A to an F sharp. When you're putting together your saxophone, the first thing you want to do before putting on your neck strap is take your reed out, and you want to soak it, which is mine is soaking in water right now. And you want to get the whole thing wet, even the bass, because it'll help soften the reed so it's easier to play, especially since the level I have is a level 3, or I'm not sure if they're called levels or not, or I guess the strength of the reed. So while that's soaking in the water, you want to put your instrument together, and doing this, you want to put on your neck strap first before you even get your instrument, because this is going to help you hold your instrument in place while you're putting the rest of it together. So when you grab your saxophone, you want to make sure to grab it by the bell so you're not breaking any rods or keys. And so you want to grab it by the bell, just like this, so you're not pressing the keys or the rods or bending them or breaking them in any way. And you want to put your neck strap hook in, and you want to adjust it. Don't adjust it like perfectly yet, because we still have to put on the mouthpiece. And so when you're taking the mouthpiece out, you want to make sure, try not to press any of these, because this can come off super easily. And you want to place it in. It's not like the clarinet where you need to put your mouthpiece on first, is what I read. It didn't say that. And to tighten this part right here, you want to just tighten this screw right here so it's not moving all the time. I think I might be doing it the other way. Nope, okay, it's good. All right, and now you want to grab your mouthpiece. Oh, it's right here. You want to grab your mouthpiece and your reed, and I like to do this before versus the clarinet, how you would put the barrel and the mouthpiece together, because then you're trying to do it sideways. And so you have your mouthpiece that has been soaking in water. All right. And then you want to grab your ligature. And see if it does that, your saxophone is good. So that's why it's very important to have your neck strap, so nothing is falling and stuff. All right, and you want to put your reed on, and then you want to tighten your ligature so that your reed is in place and it doesn't move. I'm trying to do that right now. And the strength of the reed that I have is a 3, because that's what my sister had. This is actually her saxophone too, and she gave me this marching ligature, is what she called it, and she said that she uses it for concert and marching season. So I don't know what the deal is with that, if that's good, bad, but then after you get that in, you want to go ahead and put on your mouthpiece. And then at this point, what you would do is tune your instrument, because see how I put it? You put it halfway onto the cork right here. And I already had it together in the first clip, so I already applied cork grease. But in this step right here, you would apply cork grease, which I have right here. And you just want to make sure to take a little bit of this and apply it around here. All right. This thing is dangerous. All right. And then now that we have the instrument put together, this is the part where you want to adjust your neck strap to make sure your instrument comes to you and you're not leaning in. That's about good, because the instrument is going to come to you, so you won't have to go forward or down below to it or anything. And that's how you put together a saxophone. And now I'm going to tune the instrument. All right, so I tuned my instrument, and now we're going to talk about holding it. So basically I talked about putting the instrument together, putting the reed on. Basically you soak the reed before you do anything else, so it's nice and kind of, I guess, moistened or wet, so that way it can vibrate easier whenever you play the instrument, because you don't want a stiff reed. And it's kind of like the clarinet, but you don't want it too at the tip of the mouthpiece, just below it. And then you put the ligature on, tighten, and your reed is good. And basically, just like the clarinet reed, you want to put the inward part facing the mouthpiece. So that way, I just tuned. So basically, this part is, I guess, the curved part outwards, and the inward curved part is the one you want facing the mouthpiece. All right, but now that the instrument is tuned, put together, basically the correct holding position for this instrument. So for beginners, it's recommended from the packet that you hold it in front of you rather than to the side, because you want to, I guess, you want to perform or show them the correct playing. You want to do it in the straight position, so that way they can get in their minds playing posture, and also the way your body is stacked to breathe. Because if they have it to the side, the tendency is to kind of curve maybe or lean forward. But if it's right here, then you know that their back is straight, both feet are flat on the ground, and that they're stacked, so that way their breathing technique is better. And for holding the instrument, so basically most of the saxophones will have these white keys, and I don't want to call them guide keys, but it's basically the keys that you put your fingers on. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then thumb, and then your pinky can kind of rest on these guide keys, kind of like the clarinet. So you have your 1, 2, 3, and then your thumb can rest on this back part right here. It's a flat area, and then this is going to be your register key. And then for your right hand, you have the white, I guess, guide keys too, and these are going to be the keys you put your fingers on. So basically, you know you have your fingers on the right keys, because earlier I had my fingers like this, and when I pressed this down, it's not anything, but I pressed it down, and my middle finger was going down too. Your keys should not come down together, if that makes sense. So they're all separate keys. And you have your thumb key right here, which is going to hold the instrument, but it helps for the saxophone, because you also have a neck strap. So you put your fingers on the keys, and that's going to be your playing position. You basically want it just like the clarinet, both feet flat on the ground. And then for holding the instrument, it's not more, it's for the clarinet, you did the hands to the side, and then you lift them up, and that's your playing position. But for the saxophone, your hands are definitely more curved. It's not going to be like really tight or flexed, but it's just a natural curve around it. And that's the correct way to hold your saxophone. And for the embouchure, to play it, so it's not that quite different from the clarinet, For the clarinet, it was called a smile or drawstring method, and that was the embouchure that was focused on in the packets because it was mainly the one that if someone couldn't play, that they would recommend that embouchure technique because it's basically like them. How do I say? It's the correct and recommended way if they can't get a noise out of the clarinet. Alright, I'm going to find the section for the embouchure and I'll be back. Okay, I didn't want to get it wrong because in the clarinet it was called the smile drawstring technique, and for the saxophone it's called the soft cushion embouchure. And the packet is nice because it gives you correct ways and how to form the embouchure, and then it gives you how you know if you're doing it incorrectly. And with the smile or with the soft cushion embouchure, you want to make sure that you're, I guess, tonguing or playing with an oo syllable instead of do. You want to make sure you're playing with an oo syllable. And whenever you put it in your mouth, so at this point your reed is going to be wet, and so you're able to play. And then it's just like the clarinet, where you have it under. The reed isn't touching your teeth, but it's touching your bottom lip, and your lip is going to be flattened out. And then your teeth are touching the top of the mouthpiece, and the whole reason for your teeth not touching the reed is so it has a space for the reed to vibrate while you blow air into the instrument, and that's what creates the sound. And then you just want to wrap your ribs and close them on the outside. So I have my bottom teeth, I'm going to do my top teeth, and then close the surrounding lips. And then depending if you play sharp or flat and after you tune, whichever you have a tendency, that's where you can perfect your embouchure. And at that stage, you'll be able to perfect your own embouchure, play how you want, and also you'll be able to know if you have to go more inwards on the reed or outwards, if that makes sense. If you have to play halfway in, more in, with more mouthpiece, or if you're better playing on like the edge. Alright, so for number 1 and 2 of the essential elements, we just have the D note. So it's going to be 4 quarter notes, 4 rest, 4 quarter notes, 4 rest. Well, first a whole note, rest for 4, whole note, rest for 4, and then the quarter rest, quarter rest.